The doctor had said he's knocking on death's door.
The first thing that the doctor said to me was like, yeah, like it could be cancer, just like so casually.
They came in the room and told us that she had a brain tumor.
She called and said, hey, it's cancer.
And I brought him down and I had him in my arms and I said, Kevin, there's something wrong.
I will cry about it, but then there's still like stuff to look forward to.
I kept being like, I don't want to die, like I don't want to die, and I was definitely like scared.
That was I mean, honestly, it was probably the worst moment of our lives.
My name is Lucia Villalobos, and before I got diagnosed with colon cancer, I was a student at U of O. I was taking 16 credits, fully living in the dorm, like living my life.
I have always felt that we would be done having kids when we would have a boy.
Man, I remember we were up in our bedroom when we found out, and that was like highly, highly emotional.
I definitely go watch way too many sports. I like to travel. I try to play golf. Not well.
I'm Joel, this is my wife Amy. Abigail and Lucy are our two beautiful daughters, and we were a pretty stinking happy family.
He had a 10-day fever.
Had stomach issues for like as long as I can remember, but in the dorm they got really bad, and I went like to the doctor multiple times and they were just like, you're young, like it's nothing, like it's anxiety, whatever. So me and my mom went to the ER and we're like asking for imaging, like saying, like basically insisting that I need imaging, and they were like, we don't want to radiate her, like we're not going to do any of that, like she should be fine. So then I called my mom and I was like, this is not okay, like I need to go to the hospital. So she took me to the hospital and they did one scan and they were like, yeah, you have a massive tumor in your colon. I was freaking out. I was basically going into the hospital being like, oh, I have like appendicitis, something like that. So it was definitely very shocking.
I am a triple negative breast cancer, stage 4 fighter. They did an MRI. And then they found a little spot on my lung. And at that point, I was like, are you kidding me? Like nothing is going right. Like every time I turn around, bad news, bad news, bad news. That was one of the first times I actually cried. Because it's not really real until it's real. Like you're going to all these doctor's appointments and like, you know there's something wrong, but it's not, for me, it wasn't real yet.
He had a fever for that 10 days and it just wasn't going away. And his color was changing. And I brought him down and I had him in my arms and I said, Kevin, there's something wrong with our boy.
I looked at him, I'm like, I need to take him in. Like,
we
got to
need
get
to take him in. He needs to go in.
They were saying all his stats, and I'm listening to all of this while I'm still like, it's okay, you're okay. And he's waking up sometimes and it's going back down. It's like, he's not all there. The doctor had said he's knocking on death's door.
All while he's doing this completely on his own, not telling me anything. He's just saying it, you know, we're just waiting on the doctors, we're just doing this. So I'm at home with the girls and keeping everything organized, and he's just carrying that burden completely on his own.
Her toes started to point inward when she walked a little bit. That was the first thing I noticed. She was like just walking, gripping with her toes. And that turned into kind of like wobbly walking. They did the MRI that morning, and they came in the room and told us that she had a brain tumor, and it was 7 centimeters, which is about, I think, is as big as a tennis ball.
I mean, honestly, it was probably the worst moment of our lives. I told her that we were going to make a new commitment to each other. And that included never leaving each other, never losing hope, and always trusting in God.
Being in the infusion center is just sad. Looking around, it's just, yeah, it just makes me sad. I always go at 1 o'clock, so I try and have a full day before, do whatever I want and just make the best of it, and then I go and I'm there. It feels like I haven't been living a real life. My life right now is kind of just sad, and I don't get to do everything I want to do. And then it's also my self-esteem. They removed a third of my colon. I do have a huge, long scar across my whole stomach. So thinking about wearing a bikini or a short shirt or something like that, definitely a little bit of that has been lost.
It's the way I've decided to approach it. I can't change it. So I don't want to feel sorry for myself. There's better things I could do with my time at this point. Why waste it on being sad? Holding on to a tree when there's a hurricane. And everything around you is kind of chaotic, and I got a little tiny glimpse of what it felt like to feel normal between my surgery. I was telling people, I was I haven't felt like this in years. I didn't even realize it. And then you go back on chemo and it's kind of I'm gonna feel like crap for the rest of my life. And I think that's the hardest thing, is that.
He was good with walking. He was basically potty trained, and after that it went backwards. He couldn't walk anymore. He lost use of his legs because of the medication and everything, and so it became a weird, sad happy. I laughed the amount of times I saw him scooching on the floor. When he was scooching and he had his backpack on because of the medication, and he was just scooching everywhere, and he was laughing and having fun, and he got fast, right? But then it became every minor, tiny little thing that was a positive. It was celebrated. It was so awesome.
The hardest part for me was definitely just my whole life getting interrupted by this huge medical thing. And then the second hardest thing is just all of the unknown. I don't know if I'm ever gonna get cancer again, and we don't know why this happened. So yeah, definitely both of those things are the hardest.
When we were trying to teach him to walk again, he just I can't do it.
Cries, and we kept pushing, but at the same time it's trying to understand not to push too much, and that balance was so hard to mix.
Yeah.
I am going to a wedding in a couple of weeks, so in Mexico. It's been a couple of years since I went on vacation, so even if I don't feel good, it's better to feel yucky in Mexico than at home.
It wasn't until after the second MRI that we got the devastating news. And so he pulled out his phone and, just clearly said, "Do you see all these spots? Those are all tumors."
Yeah.
And
so that was really difficult to hear.
mm-hmm.
And as me and T walk out, they're like, wait, here's your bill, $50,000. Can you pay that tonight? So you're like, can you just give us a second?
You got to make a payment on this. So, yeah.
And then the quotes of the medevacs were coming back at $60,000.
Mm-hmm.
We're just scrambling at that point. She had days and hours and not months.
Before we left, our dad, he said, "You bring her home, girls, you bring her home." And so being able to do that was what we needed to do.
She went under for brain surgery, brain tumor removal. She had a full resection on August 7th. By the time we got into recovery, gosh, we just ran through all our stuff on the floor, and she had extubated herself. She wanted to breathe room air, and she said milk.
She was ready to party, and that was the happiest I think Amy and I had ever been since the day she was born. Hearing her talk right out of surgery was just incredible.
Hey, hey, hey!
She started having seizures. All of a sudden, she was not herself at all. We called the hospice team in, and they didn't give her a lot of time when they saw her. When she stopped swallowing, I think that was an indicator to the hospice nurse that, you know, we were kind of at the end of our journey as far as Abby's battle went. And so she told us, you know, kind of more or less in plain English that it was time. The cancer had metastasized
into a space. It's called the leptomeningeal space, and it's, for all better, lack of a better, fatal. Most people don't have any luck after that.
We just wept and wept and wept for days. We didn't stop holding her, not once, not for a second.
Put her down, just prayed over her and talking to her, and
we were just praying, one more day, Lord, one more day, and just let us get to Christmas. Let us get to Christmas. And she just kept pushing, and pretty soon it was New Year's, and she more or less told us, you know, as long as you keep me comfortable and, you know, fed and loved on, I'll keep fighting, and that's what we're doing. She deserves parents that aren't willing to give up on her.
even now, even when it's harder for her to communicate, you can feel it when you hold her, when you talk to her.
I don't need anything like extravagant or fancy for him. I just want him to be normal and not have the stress or fears or anxieties from going through this shit when he was young.
I also still think about what's the complications of the medication. There's medication that he took that could have messed his fertility up, that he may never be able to have kids, you know, that could be a long-term effect on his liver and kidneys and his blood sugar issues and all that stuff. And I think about how much is this boy gonna have to go through. He's gonna be starting kindergarten, which will be really exciting.
Awesome.
Just to see him just to be normal and learn those skills of a kid and just to grow up and just leave this behind.
I'm really looking forward to just next year living with my friends, going to school, not having to be going to appointments every week, and I also really want to study abroad. So I'm looking forward to just getting on with my life and just trying my best to put this situation in the past, which is definitely not gonna happen, but I'll do my best. Yeah.
Joel and I are definitely not the same people we were before this happened. And neither is Abby. I can see pictures of myself that I'm like, yep, like you can see the shift. It's just something that you carry on your face.
Yeah, I want our girls to remember how our family stuck together and how we were resilient and how we went through it and it was ugly, but we have all grown so much from it.
This experience has taught me about myself that like I really can like get through something very hard and like you will be okay. You just have to tell yourself like this is really hard, but it's not forever.
Those things are so important. Those moments are so important. And so, you know, for me, it would just be a Saturday afternoon with them, and we're all just happy, and music and good food. Peace.
It would feel like heaven.
It would feel like heaven.
I would tell them that there's always hope. It definitely helps to know that you're not the only one.
Hold on, the way the last leaf holds the bough. We were never good at goodbye, so don't say it now. Don't say it now. So hold on, the way the last leaf holds the bough. We were never good at goodbye, so don't say it now. Don't say it now. The porch light's low, the morning's near. Whatever comes, I'm here.